Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Jada Toys Ultra Street Fighter 2 The Final Challengers DHALSIM, or DHALSIM, however you want to pronounce it. I don't know the official way to do it. You know, lots of these names have slightly different official ways of pronouncing it based on which game you hear it in, or how old you were when you first heard the character's name. Just don't call him Ryu. Anyway, this guy is being touted as the best figure since of all time, since sliced bread, or all of all the bread. It's a really good figure according to just about everybody who owns it. And I finally have it, so I'm going to review it. And I have to tell you, there's a lot to love about this figure, but I have to tell you this too. There are a few things not to love about it. There are some things I don't love at all, and we're going to talk about all of it. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. Before we look at the figure, I do want to show you my package. This is my favorite package of all of the recent packages because of the arcade style. I tend to like packages that are more normally squared, just boxes, but I do like this slightly arcade cabinet, and it's still square everywhere else, so it's okay. Artwork down here, classic game icon. See the figure in here, nice and clean, very good. Stage background, love it. There you go. It's a good packaging. I like it. It's not crazy, but it's very tastefully done, if you ask me. Alright, so here we go. Two things before we start. One, question of the day. Which color scheme do you tend to pick for your characters? Is it always P1, or is it whichever one you like the most? When you're playing the game, of course. For me, it's typically P1 unless I'm playing Akuma. Then it's Shin Akuma. But otherwise, it's P1 or gray and blue Ryu. Let me know how you guys choose your colors. Okay, second thing is, this guy's in stock at Big Bad Toy Store. Him and Bison, he and Bison are both in stock right now. There's a link in the description below if you want to get one for yourself. Okay, this guy stands roughly, we'll call it 6 1/4. That's a little generous. That's going to be roughly 15.75 centimeters, something like that. Here he is up against another bald fellow, Marvel Legends Darwin. Darwin has him beat slightly, just a little bit. And I guess we'll do this. People like it, so I'll do it, but it's useless. Okay, here's the Marvel Select cap, very big comparatively. And McFarlane Batman, one of the smaller Batmans, still makes DHALSIM look like a child, so wouldn't be mixing with those, but Marvel Legends should be fine. Here he is up against Ryu. I have no idea. I didn't think to check DHALSIM's height, but I'll add a note if that looks right. He's a little bit taller than Ryu, so he's about the same as Bison, actually. I'll have to check. I think that's probably pretty good. Okay, so let's start with the bad so that we can end with the good. The bad is his hard joints are noticeable. His knees stand out as being a different color. Same thing with the elbows. It's unfortunate. This elbow doesn't as much. This one does. When I first looked at this one, I thought, okay, so they're using hard plastic. They're using hard plastic in there, and then using a soft plastic cap to make it look good, but I don't think that's what they're doing. It feels like hard plastic all the way through, and it's definitely standing out over here and on the knees, so that's not ideal. Don't like that. Personally, if you ask me, if you're going to go with the hard plastic joints, you have to use the soft plastic caps or really get them matched. But they didn't seem to do that, so that's a bit of an issue. He does also have a slightly different color upper torso. I don't know if everyone has that. The ones I have, I got 2 of them. Both of them have an oranger torso, this piece right here, than everything else. So that kind of bugs me. There's one other tiny issue which most people, almost nobody will notice, but I'll show you later. Okay, so good stuff. He has shading throughout. I think that looks really nice, other than the knees sticking out. But the clothing, the wraps, the skin tone, the shading, it looks great. I also really like the sculpt work overall. He's got that muscular trim look that I like DHALSIM to have. I don't want him to look gaunt, and he doesn't. He looks powerful even though he's very lean, so I like that a whole bunch. Love the paint job on the head. They've got the red stripes on there, looking good, no problems. That's nice. Skulls are half skulls, so that looks a little goofy, but it's whatever. He does have full metal earrings and then plastic wrist things. It's easy enough to buy some rings at the craft store to replace those if you wanted metal ones, but it honestly doesn't bother me. It looks alright. So yeah, he's generally pretty darn good looking. I love the way they got the skinny waist with the broader chest. Looks really, really good. So from an aesthetic standpoint, I'm going to give it an overall 8.5. I don't like the different color finishes. on the different parts, but it looks pretty good. Now, I will mention this one other thing, which I don't think people are going to notice. Maybe they will. Let me zoom in all the way, get it a little bit brighter so you can see, hopefully. His left cheekbone is kind of squashed in, and it's not super obvious until you go like this, and you can see his face is mushed. And Ken had a sort of similar situation, so I don't know if they're having an issue with their molding process or what, but something is getting a little bit weird on some of these figures from them. So be aware of that. But he does generally look pretty good. Now, as far as accessories go, you get the 2 karate chop hands that come on him in the package, and you get 2 clenchy hands. That's pretty good. But you know my argument. Any comic book character, and I'll extend this to video game characters, needs to come with fist hands, unless for some reason they really don't need it. He needs it. He doesn't have interchangeable fist hands, but he does have the interchangeable limbs. So for some of you, this will be a problem. For some of you, it'll be fine. They're not stretchy for us, of course. They're already stretched. They're pre-stretched, but they're super bendy, and they're painted, and they look really good, and they bend really nicely, surprisingly well. Eat your heart out, Bandai, with Luffy Gear 5. Works really well. I'm a little bit concerned about the durability of the plastic being bent this much, but it seems okay, at least so far. But they're super bendy. That's good. They do come with fist hands on them, which look interchangeable, but they are not. They are not meant to be removed. That drives me nuts. The interchangeable these hands should be interchangeable so that he can have fist hands on the main figure, not just on here. So that really bothers me. How are you going to do a Yoga Noogie without a fist hand? So that sucks. But I do love the bendy arms. They're done very well. Same thing with the bendy legs. It's a good sculpt. They're nice and bendy. The only thing that's a downside is the bendy doesn't include really the ankle at all. So you're going to be a little bit limited there. But still, very nice that they included those. And then lastly, we get the yelling head. That's really good. I love that head sculpt. It looks great. But we have to wrap up the articulation, oh my gosh, the accessories section with mentioning that there's no Yoga Flame or Yoga Fire, which I get. We got the bendy arms, that's fine, but I don't know. I think an extra $5 and a Yoga Fire would be good, but I'm not going to fault it because we did get the whole bendy limb thing, so that's fine, but I suspect they'll eventually have a version of this guy with the fire or flame, which I think is kind of necessary. Kind of? I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it necessary, or are the bendy parts enough? From a price perspective, the bendy parts are enough. But from a personal value perspective, I don't know. I kind of want the fire. Let me know what you guys think. I'll give the accessories 8 out of 10. Would be higher, but no fist swapping and no flames. Alright, let's see about his articulation. I'm guessing it will be solid. So ball pegs throughout. Looks nice. He can move his head around really well. That's good. No issues. It's not maybe as good as it could be, but it still works really well. Yeah, it looks pretty good. All right, butterfly joint on this guy is a problem. You can see right here, actually, there's a little bit of discoloration. That's from me bringing it forward, and it's already starting at that position right there, starting to add stress marks. So you can't bring the arm forward on the butterfly joint, not without stressing the plastic, so that sucks. Bringing it back, same thing. You have to really force it, and then it's going to mess up the plastic here. So butterfly joint is not good on this guy. You are going to get your full rotation. You'll be able to bring the arm up nicely. The shoulder itself is nice. Elbow joint is nice. Or biceps swivel is nice. Elbow joint is nice. No issues there. Wrists have a swivel and a hinge. That's all fine. It's just that butterfly joint is not good. And I did mess up the plastic on mine by trying to use it. So that sucks. Alright, and then for the diaphragm joint, he leans back nicely. It can get gappy, just don't go that far if you don't want it to be gappy. He leans forward really well. Love that. It can be done. Leans to the side. Not as well as it could. He doesn't seem to have much range on that top joint, just the bottom one. It's still good, like overall it's good range, but this one's pretty limited. Then you will get a twist up here. It seems to not want to twist too much though. It's fighting me, but down here you'll definitely get some twist out of him. So yeah, it's a pretty solid set of articulation so far. Not perfect, but it'll do. Butterfly joint sucks. For the hips, he does have a soft crotch. Kicks up almost all the way, not completely. And then going back, you get a little bit of range. Not a ton, but enough. And then going out to the side, it's a perfect split. No argument ever for drop-down hips, honestly. Like, this is exactly what you need. It's pretty darn good. Drop-downs can help for the forward kick, but typically they are more of a problem than they are a help. But his could be a little bit better. Just trim a little bit of that away and you'll be fine. All right, then you do get a thigh swivel under the shorts. I like that a whole bunch. Double jointed knee works nicely, no issues. Could be a little better range, but it's definitely fine. And then you do get a shin rotation at the wraps, which I guess is just to help articulation since it's not super obvious anyway. Like, you might as well add it there, so that's good. And then the ankle works pretty well. Could go farther forward, definitely not that far. And then the ankle rocker is a little bit steep, which I'm guessing is why they put that rotation in there. That's when that's really useful. So it's okay. The articulation's not the best. I would argue he's not the best articulated figure out of the bunch, not counting the bendy arms, of course. So his articulations are going to get, for Jada, I'm only going to give him an 8. It works pretty well, but the butterfly joint messing up the plastic and not having any range, that's not good. And I do think they could have got higher kicks out of him, and he needs to be able to kick high. He has a particular move where he does a long stretchy kick, like at almost a 45-degree angle. And so he can't really kick high enough unless you really force it. Which, okay, so I guess you can, but it goes out to the side. So I think maybe they could have just spent a little bit more time in the lab, as you say in Street Fighter. But yeah, it's not bad by any means, but I think they could have tweaked it a little bit to make it a little bit better. Okay, so final verdict on this guy. Is he the best release so far? I want to say yes, but not having interchangeable fist hands, that's a problem. I'm not even going to really count the lack of a fireball or the yoga flame, because he does have the other accessories, so that's debatable, so I won't count it. But having the miscolored parts, the lack of fist hands, and the butterfly joint that kind of breaks the figure, it stretches out the plastic and creates stress marks, I can't say he's the best one. He's almost the best one, and on paper he is, but in practice, I don't think so. I'm leaning towards Chun-Li or Fei Long still at this point. But he's up there. I like him personally a whole bunch, but I don't know if he's as good as people are saying. In some ways, yes. In other ways, I have to say no. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm going to give him an overall rating of 8.5. Really strong release. For the price point, it still blows out all the competition. But we're not grading these guys against the crap. We're grading these guys against this line, which is really, really well done so far. It's been shockingly successful. And so we have to compare them against each other, not against things like Darwin, because if you're comparing that, then it's 100 out of 10, but that doesn't do anybody any good. Okay, so that's how we do it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, but that's it for me. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down, and if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that, and in the meantime, keep collecting.